Ed Johnson from Diesel Crew here. Thanks for checking out today's video. I'm going to make this really quick so that you can get right into the information that I have for you today. My good friend Rick Caselge, who I did fixing elbow pain with, put together a great video for us on shoulder impingement. The reason that he's doing this is because I sent out an email to all my email subscribers that said, tell me about your shoulder pain. And what I did, I got probably 100 responses on that. There must be a lot of people with shoulder pain, so I've got something that's going to help out a lot of you, because the most common thing, probably about 50% of you have some form of shoulder impingement. So, Rick put together a video on shoulder impingement and how to prevent that. So that's what I've got for you today, and without further ado, we'll just roll right into it. But again, this is Rick Caselge coming at you, very experienced therapist as far as getting people out of pain, getting them back into action. Alright, so if you've got shoulder pain, make sure you check this out.
And maybe I'll end up explaining shoulder impingement and what shoulder impingement is. Shoulder impingement ends up being something caught in the shoulder joint. And specifically what it ends up being is if we end up looking at our shoulder blade, it tends to be at a bit of an angle. It's not totally upright. It tends to be on an angle and on our thoracic spine, on our mid-back. And what ends up happening is if the tilt increases, so the anterior tilt of the scapula ends up increasing, or the shoulder blade, it ends up decreasing the space within the shoulder. And as I decrease that space within the shoulder, it increases the risk of pinching or catching when I end up moving the shoulder out to the side or out front. The structures inside the space in the shoulder will end up being caught between the upper arm and the shoulder blade, and you end up getting shoulder impingement. And usually it can be a number of things that end up getting pinched in there, but the number one thing that ends up getting pinched is the rotator cuff. And the thing that you can do to help you prevent shoulder impingement or help you overcome shoulder impingement is if you can end up working on that tilt of the scapula. And the easiest way is, even if we kind of look at my posture, and if you kind of look at my scapula, you know, if I'm in really poor posture, my shoulder blade's very forward, and there's not much space within that shoulder, and I can't get good range of motion. I'm kind of pinching there. Even if I rotate, that's as high as I can end up going. So if I can open up, and if I can get better posture, that'll end up helping things, and I end up getting better range in the shoulder. So that's the number one thing. The second thing is, you know, before workouts or before competition, when it comes to if you're doing any bending tasks or challenges or any gripping sports, is to really fire up those scapular muscles. So as you saw with poor posture, that scapula ends up tilting anterior forward and leading to pinching. If I can fire up those scapular muscles, when they are turned on, those shoulder blade muscles, they'll tilt back and create more space within that scapula. So if I can end up doing, you know, some push-ups to fire up those scapular muscles, so not necessarily chest exercise, but to kind of fire up those scapular muscles. If I can end up doing some tubing work, like keeping the resistance on and separating the tubing, keeping the resistance on, separating the tubing, keeping the resistance on, separating the tubing, and really firing and activating those scapular muscles prior to what I end up doing, that's going to end up creating more space in that shoulder and tilting that scapula down. So those would be my two tips that I would recommend for you to do in order to avoid shoulder impingement and also to kind of overcome shoulder impingement, really working on changing that position of the scapula with your posture and by firing up those scapular muscles so they activate and kind of tilt that scapula back. So this is Rick Caselge from Fix My Shoulder Pain for Jed Johnson and everyone at the Diesel crew. This is Rick Caselge saying take care and bye-bye.